Well, greetings, friends. Dennis LaRue here, your executive and life coach with LDR, Leaders Develop Relationships. And the number one relationship you develop is with yourself first. And this is hashtag Steel Toes Required quote of the week. And this is number 79, episode number 79. Been doing these weekly now for over a year. And if you're new to Steel Toes, here's what it is. When speakers speak, they'll say, when they're about to say something that's going to make you uncomfortable, put you in a position of growth, maybe upset you a little bit, they say, I'm about to step on your toes. That's one of the reasons behind Steel Toes Required. These are quotes that have stepped on my toes, that have made me uncomfortable. They've sparked me. They've even inspired me. And for some of you who you've shared with me that Steel Toes means for you, you get motivated and fired up to kick down the doors and the obstacles and the barriers in your way and bust forward and move forward. And I love that too, and that's why we do this. So this is hashtag Steel Toes Required, and this week's quote comes from my mentor, John Maxwell. For some of you, that shouldn't surprise you. I got about 50 books right behind me of his. He's made a huge influence in my life. Hey, Don, how are you? Good to see you. But this quote comes from a book I've never quoted from. I've not quoted from this book at all since I've been doing Steel Toes. So for 79 weeks, 79 quotes, I've not used this book. So here's the book right here, The 360-Degree Leader by John Maxwell. It was written back in about 2005, 2006, and this book was extremely influential in my life at that time. I mean, it was the perfect book at the time in my life during my military career, and I needed it the most. This book overall helps you lead not only down and across, but it helps you influence up. When I was in the military, rank, it's all about rank. The more stripes, bars, and stars you have, well, you're the leader. And where I was at the time, I did not have more stripes and certainly didn't have bars and stars at the time. So I had to learn how to influence people that outranked me, and this book was huge in that area. Really helped me out a lot. But here's the quote. It's actually a principle, and it's real simple. It's basic, but it's something that we all need to grasp, and it's this: be prepared every time you take your leader's time. Be prepared every time you take your leader's time. That's John Maxwell. And this is extremely important. Now, as I mentioned, when I read this book, I was a middle manager at the time. And so I was involved I was working in an environment that you would say would be like a corporate headquarters. I was working a lot of projects and seeing a lot of senior leaders and getting a lot of time with these senior leaders because of these projects. And I saw the opportunity. The opportunity was not only to provide the answers to the projects, but it was also an opportunity to learn more about how these senior leaders thought, how they lead, and also opportunity to be mentored by these senior leaders. The opportunity was there, and I saw that. And so, but I wondered, how could I get their time and how could I best use that time? And so the first principle, whenever you're taking your leader's time, is you got to have the purpose. You got to know why you're taking their time. You've got to know why you want to be in the room. Now, as I shared with you, most of my time was briefing updates and statuses on projects that had high level visibility. And so I needed to do my homework. That's principle number 2. Hey, Melanie, checking in from Vegas. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a blast. So the first principle in being prepared being prepared every time you take your leader's time is you got to know the purpose of your time. Were you called in by the leader, or did you set up the meeting with the leader? Those are two different things, because if the person you're going to see scheduled the time, you need to make sure that you're prepared. And how do you prepare? Make sure that that leader provides you the reason for the meeting, and if there's any read-aheads, as we say in the military, any any PowerPoint briefings, what's the background and purpose for the meeting? And now if you scheduled the meeting with the leader, now you need to know why. Why did you schedule that meeting? What's the purpose? And once you've got that purpose down, the next step is prepare. Be prepared. Do your homework. So what's the homework? If you got the read ahead, read the read ahead. If you got the PowerPoint slides, read the PowerPoint slides. Look in the notes. Go dive deep. Dig in. There's a reason you're being called in that office for that project. So when you're preparing, start thinking like that leader. If you were that leader, what would you be looking for in this project? Start asking those questions and then jot down the answers to them, because guess what? What you're providing that leader is valuable information that my boss used to tell me was hip pocket information. That's hip pocket information for your leader who may have to brief what you're bringing to them to the next level in the chain of command. Now, if you've scheduled the meeting, do your homework may look differently. For instance, maybe you've heard me say on Steel Toes, you've probably heard me say it even on LaRue on the Street, where I've mentioned about those divine appointments. There's that person that you want to meet, that person that you want to mentor you, that person you want to spend time with. And you finally get the opportunity. The opportunity is there. Imagine that for a moment. You get a phone call, you get an email from the executive assistant to the person you want to meet, and they've said, here's your meeting. We've got a date and a time. We look forward to seeing you. Okay, now your heart's probably beating a little bit. It's probably beating a lot. There's probably some excitement. The blood's racing. And now you're like, oh no, what do I do? Now it's time to prepare. What do you do in that case? This is where you dig in. You wanted this meeting. What is it you wanted that meeting for? Was it to spend a few minutes to ask some questions? There you go. Ask some great questions. In my case, one individual I met, I will not say names, but I read all of their books. And I read them multiple times, and I took notes. I had a special little black notebook just like this one here, with notes, with questions that I developed from reading the material. I got onto YouTube. I watched their speaking engagements. After watching their speaking engagements, I would go in each day into Google and see if any news had come up relevant involving this person I wanted to meet. Did all of that, and I did it for months. I spent hours upon hours and months preparing, and guess how long I got to meet this person? 60 minutes. That's it, 1 hour. I probably put in hundreds of hours preparing for that 1 hour. That's what it takes. And why? Because it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and you want to maximize that moment. Maximize that time. And I wanted also to find ways to add value to that person. It wasn't just me getting and receiving, which was amazing, and I certainly wanted that, but I wanted to find a way to add value to the person that I was meeting as well, and ask those questions that weren't answered in everything that I looked up. You see, one of the ways you waste your leader's time is asking them questions that if you'd have taken a few seconds to look in the book, look at Google, or watch a YouTube video, it's already answered for you there. Don't waste their time. Maximize their time. Invest. They can tell. Another thing is, I already mentioned asking great leaders, and I also mentioned adding value to that leader. Find a way to add value to that leader you're meeting. That's going to require some work. That's going to require some digging deep. That's going to require you doing some detective work. Maybe it's as simple as what's their favorite drink. It may be as simple as it could be as simple as that, or it could be more in depth, like researching their material and finding things that adds value to them. Maybe it's bringing up a topic to them, something that you have got expertise in one of their favorite areas. Maybe it's taking an idea to a new level in the meeting. Maybe it's the project, giving ideas on what you think would make the project better that they may have not considered due to your expertise. There's all kinds of different ways, but again, it goes back to being prepared every time you take your leader's time, because when you maximize that time, when you add value to that leader, when you ask those great questions, what happens to the leader? The lights come on. They see you differently in a new light. I remember I've heard Mark Cole, CEO for John Maxwell, share the moment that he was on John's radar. And he was on the plane with John. He was doing some sales, and when they got done with the sales, he made a comment. He did a great job with the sales. He knew the percentages. He knew the figures. And he shared that information with John when John asked for it. He had the answer and showed the difference between the two, and lights went on. He was on John's radar. Here he is now the CEO of all of the John Maxwell enterprise. See, he did his homework. He knew his craft, and he added value. That's how you maximize your leader's time. And then when those times moving forward in a mentorship perspective, when they give you something to do, they give you valuable information. They give you that secret that you were looking for and hoping for. You got to do something with it. You got to take action on it, because you see, that leader's watching you. And when they're watching you, if you don't do what they've given you to do, don't expect to get any more time with that leader, because you wasted the opportunity. Don't waste the opportunity. Maximize the opportunity. Do what they say. Because remember, some of these moments that you get are going to be once-in-a-lifetime moments. Once-in-a-lifetime moments. And you've got to prepare for that once-in-a-lifetime moment before that moment occurs. So if you're setting up the meeting, you're in control. You're setting it up. Do your homework. Be prepared. If the meeting is set up for you, like in the matter of a project, well, they've given you the information. Go the extra step. Go the extra mile. Dig deep. Provide valuable information for them. And then when the opportunity presents itself, ask that question. I promise you. Here's what I can promise you. If you value the leader's time, and you show by doing some of these things that I've shared with you, and I would love also, what tips and strategies have you found effective when you're in adding value to your leadership above you, the leaders you've been around, and then those, you leaders, what are some tips and strategies others have used that have made a difference with you? Put those in the comments. Love to hear those. But if you do those things, if you take advantage of the opportunity, add value to their time, I believe you're going to get another opportunity, especially the projects. If they see you as a person who brings in information, can answer their questions, you're thinking like they're thinking, and you're anticipating what they're looking for, you're going to get opportunities. And you're going to get opportunities that others won't, because you value their time, because you've maximized the time, and you've used the time that they've given back to you in a way that has honored their time. And so with that, it's time to bring this session to a close. Again, the quote from John Maxwell, be prepared every time you take your leader's time. If you want to know where it came from, it's right here. John's 360-degree leader. Highly recommend this book. Read it. It will help you lead down, lead across, and lead up. And there it is. Thank you, Jamie. The blog is right there, already ready for you to click and read. But before you go read it, here's the blessing. I pray the blessing of bread that you know no hunger. I pray the blessing of salt that your life would be flavorful and that you would be flavorful in other people's lives. I pray the blessing of wine that joy and prosperity would be yours and that the love of God would be your portion this day and forevermore. Thank you so much for joining me here on the hashtag Steel Toes Required quote of the week. Hope you enjoyed this. Like, Share this with your friends. Go check out the blog and read it. There's some more information in there to add value to you. And thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. And also, we'll see you out on the streets. LaRue on the Street will be out there. Pay attention and catch me right here, Facebook Live. Appreciate all of you. Blessings to you. Have a great evening and have a great week. Bye for now.